One of the more astounding effects in card magic is card location. The ability to take a completely normal deck of cards where all the cards are completely mixed up and then be able to find specific cards in the deck seemingly without looking. So we have here a regular deck of cards. It's all mixed up. And what we're going to do is we're going to cut it just one time, and you can see as we cut, we'll pull out the ace of spades. If we try to cut this again, we'll just cut it into 3 packets like this, and then we'll find one more ace there inside of it. We'll try that one more time in the hands here. We'll take the bottom, we'll put it on the top, and put it on the bottom, and you can see we find another ace in there. And then let's finish this off. We'll do a little bit more of a complex up the ladder shuffle, and we find the final ace. Hi there, my name is Carl Irwin. I am an amateur, or the true sense of the word, an amateur card magician. Amateur meaning someone who does something merely because they love it, not necessarily as their profession or to make a living. I don't do a lot of card magic. I do it kind of infrequently whenever I have the occasion, mostly for friends and family, whenever the opportunities arise. I don't make a lick of money, not 1 cent off of doing anything related to close-up magic or card magic. I make my living doing other things. I'm actually a school teacher. That's what I do for a living. I teach in New York State. And I started this YouTube channel because as I was thinking about the mastery of effects that I have gone through over the years, I've been doing some magic since I was very little, it occurred to me that I really don't spend a whole lot of time on practice. I don't have a great deal of interest in super complex magic and super complex moves and sleights. I tend, because of the nature of who I am and the amount of time that I have to devote to this, I tend to gravitate more towards the simpler methods, and then applying those simpler methods to generate effects that are perhaps more impactful than they really ought to be. And I'm satisfied with that. So I started this YouTube channel perhaps for any of you out there that are kind of like me. Now I just want to be very clear that I don't claim that practice is some sort of unimportant thing. Ultimately, you need to practice in order to become proficient at anything. But there is a reality out there that there are high-quality amateur magicians that or illusionists that don't have the time to dedicate to intense practice, and particularly the intense practice of intense maneuvers. So this channel is for you. It's realistic. That's why I call the channel The Common Magician. So that's the point of this. So if you've come here and you're looking to find very, very crazy methodologies, you're kind of searching in the wrong place. However, if you are a well-practiced magician, someone who does a whole lot of work, several hours a day on practicing this stuff, that's not to say that this channel or these videos can't be helpful for you. I find I am actually a musician. That is my profession. I'm a music teacher. I find that it's very refreshing to look back at the fundamentals of my art form, and particularly in music composition. I write quite a bit of music. If I look at the fundamentals of my craft, it's a very refreshing thing to do in order to actually better myself. That I ought not always be looking at the very fringe levels of my art form and looking at the most difficult, complex methods, but rather looking at kind of the simpler things is very helpful. So if you're a very well-practiced individual, someone who's certainly above my caliber, that's not to say that you can't get something out of these videos. So what you're going to be finding on my channel is methods that are simple, methods that don't require a great deal of practice. They will require some practice in order to be proficient. However, nonetheless, the effects can be very impactful if used in the right way or organized properly in a routine. So I'm going to be teaching you mostly simple effects, simple sleights, and self-working tricks. Also, I won't be spending a great deal of time looking at the nuances of different moves. I will at times be pointing you in the descriptions of these videos towards other tutorials that are on YouTube or on the internet to help you seek a little bit more in-depth instruction on some of the moves that I'm teaching. Mostly going to be just showing you kind of the sequence of moves in order to achieve particular effects. And ultimately the goal is to use some of the things that I show you to make your own magic or to incorporate into perhaps some of your more complex routines. So that's the whole point of this series and the whole point of this channel. So as you're watching my performances, there's no doubt that you will be able to say, well, that's obviously not as polished as some other person that you've seen. That's fine. I don't care. That's not the point. You also may look at some of the things that I show you and say, well, that's awful simple. Well, that is the point. So all of that given, just go easy on some of your criticisms out there. I'm just trying to show you a few ideas that I have. Also, one last thing before we get into this. Because I am an amateur, I don't make money off of this, and I have no intention of doing that. I will at times share with you things that I have thought of that are very unique to me, ideas and effects that I've come up with, and I share those freely. I put another video on the first video. This is not actually the first video on the channel, but I put an invisible deck routine, and to my understanding, that sequence of moves that I use to do that ungimmicked invisible deck is unique to me. I've not seen anybody else do that. I share that freely. So yes, they are simple moves to a magician, to someone else who does this sort of thing. It may be very detectable. You're not going to burn magicians with these kinds of things that I'm showing you. However, nonetheless, I think that effect is very powerful if practiced and done well. So that's my goal, to share very freely things that I have learned for anybody that's interested. So that being said, let's look at this effect. We're going to look in this first video, really the second video on the channel, at a very simple effect. We're going to locate 4 cards. They can be any 4 cards. We're going to look at a few different ways to do that using very super ultra simple moves that are very deceptive to the person who's not in the know. You've probably seen some of these moves before. There's nothing new in the world of card magic, but they're what I have determined to be in my time learning this stuff to be really deceptive moves. Some of them are so deceptive that even when I'm doing them, it almost looks like magic to me. So I'm going to teach you just a few cuts that are completely false cuts. They retain essentially the entire order of the deck. They would be very useful if you're trying to maintain a full deck order, if you're telling a story trick that uses the full deck, like Sam the Bellhop by Bill Malone, or some other effect like that. These are cuts that are very useful for that kind of effect. We're going to use them just to retain a few cards, however. So the way you'd want to do this typically is that you would start with the 4 cards that you want on the top, or however many cards that you want to show. I did not start the trick that way in my performance. I actually had the cards inside of the deck, and I applied something called a Hofzinser spread call. It's something that I pointed to in the last video on the invisible deck. Very useful move. Since learning that move many years ago, I've become very comfortable not preparing decks most of the time. Usually when I do an effect, I'm very comfortable moving right into the next effect by calling the cards out. Now, one principle I want to show you as we look at the Hofzinser spread call is that I learned from watching Leonard Green, very great card magician. I think he's Swedish, I think. I can't quite remember what his nationality is. He has a bit of a language barrier in his accent, and that's all kind of part of his shtick. The way that he presents his card magic is kind of sloppy. It almost looks as if he doesn't know what he's doing, and the benefit to that is that he can really do anything, and you just don't care. He can look through the deck for no reason at all, and he's actually doing a lot of legwork right in front of your face, and you don't care. You don't really want to call him out for just doing something for nothing. So I think there's something to be said for that. There really is no reason, I've learned, that you can't look right through the deck and call something out and then move on to the next effect. There's no reason why you can't get away with that, especially if you have some dialogue to go with it, such as to say, you can see that it's a completely normal deck. All this time I've been using it, and at that, during that kind of discussion, you're actually setting things up. So what I did is a Hofzinser spread call. The way it works is that you find the cards that you want. Let's say we want the queens instead of the aces. As I'm spreading through the deck, I get to my first queen, and then I'm going to take my fingers on the back. I'm going to push forward with the card on top into my thumb, and then I'm going to take my fingers in the bottom and I'm going to pull that card out so that it is now sitting outside of the pack here. Then I'm going to push forward more cards as I'm spreading through. It's good to use kind of a pattern where you push a few cards and then come back in. You can see that my queen here is still being retained out here on the outside. I push in until I pull out some more, push in, pull out some more until I find the next queen. Then I'm going to pinch with this card right before that queen, and then I'm going to do the same move again. I'm going to grab with my fingers and pull that card on top of the other queen. So I'm kind of stacking up a secondary pack down here as I'm culling these out, okay? And then I'll do the same for the next one, and then I go to the final one. And you'll notice in my performance that there's a little bit of a stutter as I pull those cards out. It's okay. It doesn't have to be perfectly smooth because the spectator has no idea that you're doing anything. It just looks like you're showing the cards. So if you use this kind of pattern where you pull out and push back in, those momentary stutters where you cull a card out, they'll be completely okay. There's no reason why anybody would suspect that anything's going on there. Anyway, I got myself into the situation just by showing the cards here where I've got my 4 cards sitting on top. I have a relative who does a little bit of card magic, and I know he showed me recently, he took out a deck of cards and he said, it's really important that you want to keep your cards sitting in the box all mixed up just like that. And then he showed me on the top, he had 4 aces sitting on the top. He just keeps the deck like that all the time, so you can start with that move. So either way, you can have it prepared with your cards on top, or you can call them out using a Hofzinser spread call. I'll put a tutorial link on the description so you can find some advanced instruction on that elsewhere to look into that move. So we have our 4 cards on top. Now, I'm going to teach you 4 cuts that are very simple to do and very deceptive. They'll burn most normal people that are watching. These are things that will be pointed out and understood very easily by any other magician, someone who knows a little bit about card magic. So this is not to fool people that are in the know. This is to fool real people, okay, to do real performance. The first one that I'm going to do, it looks like a completely honest table cut. But it's not. And it works like this. We're going to take the deck in dealer grip. We're going to reach overhand, and then you're going to do a cut, an in-the-hand cut, where you lift up with the forefinger and slide the top of the deck over. Now, normally to finish this out, you would take the bottom, and stick it right on the top, and that would be the end. But we're going to use the table as a bit of misdirection here. We're going to start by cutting the top off, and then I'm going to take the bottom, and I'm going to tap on the top of the pack, okay? Sometimes this is called a tap cut, okay? But it's really just a false table cut. So again, I take the top with my 4 queens on the top. I'm going to take the top off with my forefinger, put it into the left hand. I'm going to tap on the top of the deck, and then I'm going to drop the bottom pack onto the table, and then I'm just going to take the top pack in my right hand and put it right back on top. So really all we've done is this. We took the bottom, we laid it down, and we put the top right back on it again. But for some reason, if I give you more of a forward look here, for some reason this move, where we tap, really makes it look deceptive. The way that the spectator understands that is that you've cut the deck, even though you've really not done that at all, okay? Really sneaky, but super deceptive. Anyway, so that's the first cut. After that, you can then take off your first card. Looks like we found that out of nowhere. The second one that I did is another really simple deceptive move. This one is where we take 3 packs, and it looks like we're going to do kind of a triple cut of the deck. But here's what we're doing. All we're doing is going to take the top third off, put it down on the table, take the next third off, put it down on the table, and take the bottom third and put it on the table, and watch what happens. I'm going to pick them up by picking up the first one. See, this move by going from here all the way over to here makes it look like I'm inverting something somehow. But remember the order. This is the top, this is the middle, this is the bottom. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up the top and I'm going to put it on the middle. And then I'm going to lift up the top and the middle and I'm going to put it on the bottom. I've done nothing, really. I've taken apart the deck and I put it back together in exactly the same order that I took it apart, okay? And then I can present this queen again. So one more time so you can see kind of everything at full speed. We're just going to cut it into thirds, top, middle, bottom, take the card off and then show it. And very, very deceptive kind of move. If you're doing it kind of fluidly, you don't have to do it fast. Fluid doesn't mean fast, but you're just doing it like you intend to do what you're doing without thinking. It looks pretty good. It looks pretty deceptive. So that's the second false cut I'm going to show you. By the way, these are things that I have seen highly skilled magicians do in their routines and in their performances. They're very old tricks, but even people like Bill Malone, you'll see him do something like that in his Sam the Bellhop routine. So very simple. It'll burn most people just by doing that very simple thing. Okay. The next one that I did, let me see if I can remember my order here. Yeah, the next one I did was another triple cut, and this is a really good one. It's going to look like we're going to transpose the top with the bottom again. Okay, but what we're going to do is we're going to hold the deck in kind of this modified dealer's grip here, and we're going to take the bottom third off. We're going to peel off the bottom third from the bottom of the deck. We're going to take it out. We're going to cross it and bring it on top. And when we do this, I'm going to pick up the top third. Okay, so let me repeat that again. We're going to take the bottom third off. We're going to cross on the top and pick up the top third. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take the whole pack that we have back to the bottom. We're going to cross back where we started, and I'm actually going to place the bottom third back on the bottom. Then I'm going to bring it back up, and I'm going to place the top third back on the top. So I've really done nothing. All I did is I took the bottom third off, I took the top third off, and then I put them back together in the order that I took them apart. That's all that's happened here. So one more time, a little slower. I take the bottom third off, I cross, I pick up the top third, I bring it down, I put the bottom third back on the bottom, I cross back on the top, and I put the top third back on the top. So at speed it looks something like this. And what it looks like in all of that kind of jimmying around, it looks like you've taken the top third and the bottom third and you switch spots. Okay, so from where we left off, I just took the last card off, I pick up the deck, I put it in this modified grip with the forefinger underneath, and then I take the bottom third off, take the top third off, put the bottom third back on, top third back on, and then I can take it from here and deal off the top card. Okay, now the last one is a little bit more tricky. This actually comes from a very old book called Expert at the Card Table. If it's a book that every person, every amateur and every professional in card magic should have. It's kind of one of those books that every junior high kid gets when they're getting into card magic. After they've gotten all those simple little children's books, to show you simple tricks, you want to get Expert at the Card Table by a person by the name of Erdnase. Very interesting book. I won't get into it, but we don't really know who the person is that wrote it. It's a secret identity. And it's a very old book, and it was written for card cheaters, for gambling methods. And much of what I'm going to show you here is covered in that. We're going to do what's called a false triple cut on the table. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the deck and I'm going to take the bottom third off. So what I'm going to do from the back side, you can see here, I'm going to lift up 2/3 of the deck. I'm going to take the bottom third out, and I'm going to place it on top, but I'm going to maintain a really hefty thumb break there, okay? Then I'm going to lift up the next third, and I'm going to take the bottom third out again, and I'm going to put it on top. So all I'm doing is I'm recycling the deck. Everything's staying in the same order. I still have the bottom, and I still have the middle, and now I'm left with the top. Now, I could finish it out by just bringing the top on top and being done with that. You could do that and then just show the card. But I like to add this subtlety here. It looks like something called an up the ladder shuffle. And the way it normally would be done is you take the top packet off and drop it, and then you would take another top and drop it on top like this. We're not going to do that though. When I'm done here, I'll show you what the real thing looks like. Instead, what we're going to do, we're going to take the bottom third, we're left here, out. And I'm going to take the bottom piece off, and I'm going to slide the bottom piece off again, and I'm going to do this a few times, and then at the very end I'm just going to throw the top on top. So really all I did is I kept everything in the same order. I took the bottom parts off one at a time, and then I ended by dropping the top on again. Now this seems pretty simple, but I kid you not, I have seen top of the line card magicians pull this little gag. Doesn't take a great deal of practice. You'll have to learn how to feel what parts you're grabbing onto, but in no time, within an afternoon, you can have this pretty solid. So again, this is what it looks like more up to speed. We're going to take the bottom third off, we drop it up here, we take the next third off, then we take the next one, we're going to take bottom packets off, and it can be sloppy, it's fine, and we drop the top back on there, and then what you would do is you would overturn it again. So from the front view, this is what it looks like. We take a third off, we take a third off, and then we just take bottom parts off, we drop the top on, and then we show the last card. So that is a tri-cut with an up the ladder on it, a false up the ladder. Everything is in the same order. Whenever you're taking tops and transposing them with the bottoms, that's the real thing. We're not doing that. What we're doing with that last packet is more like this. So if you keep a fluid motion, the eyes don't really pay attention to the fact that what you're doing is just keeping everything in order. Super deceptive. You'll hammer most people that you show that to, especially if you do it with fluid, smooth motion. So anyway, 4-card location trick. You can use this to locate any 4 cards. It's a good way to start a 4-card trick. If you have a 4-card packet trick, that's a good way to start. You could locate your aces and then go into something like Dr. Daly's last trick or something like that, where you do the Elmsley count thing. That might be something we look at later on. But anyway, that's my 4-card location routine. Pretty much how I do it every time. Super simple cuts, very easy to master, very easy to accomplish, but it's very mature magic. It's a good, solid effect, very, very easy to accomplish, but also very complex to look at for most lay people. So anyway, there you go. I hope that you enjoyed this little bit of instruction, and I hope you enjoy this channel. Please go ahead and subscribe. Maybe show this channel to other people that are interested. Let's see if we can get a few subscribers on here and share a few things. Also, one last comment about comments. I love comments. I don't like to turn off comments. I really don't care if I get bad comments. I have another YouTube channel where I work on another hobby that I have. Comments are great. I strongly encourage you to comment. I strongly encourage you to offer constructive criticism, not so much for the benefit of me, but perhaps for the benefit of those that are watching. If you have anything that you can add to the discussion, please feel free to throw it in the comments. Help others learn more. If you have links to similar kinds of effects or to good things that would maybe add to some of this instruction or better instruction, please feel free to put it on there. I invite you to do that. So welcome to The Common Magician, and I hope that you find this very useful. Happy magicking!